One sunny morning, while Oliver, the happiest inhabitant of the merry forest, was searching for food, the weather in the forest was beautiful and calm. It was a beautiful summer morning and the forest was full of singing birds. As Oliver continued to search for food in the forest happily, he came across a shining acorn that seemed to glow with a magical light. From afar, the brightness of the light attracted Oliver. As he picked up the acorn, a warm feeling spread in his paws, and he knew that this acorn was special. The moment he touched it, he was filled with happiness, hope, and joy. The magical acorn gave Oliver the power to cope with the problems of the forest animals. When Oliver gained the power to help the animals in the forest, he immediately started wandering around the forest. He had already started looking for forest animals in need. Oliver's first encounter with a forest friend in need was Miss Rabbit, who was having trouble finding food for her cubs. The merry forest was experiencing a dry season and food was very scarce. Oliver helped Miss Rabbit create a lush garden full of vegetables using the magic acorn. Now Miss Rabbit and her cubs would not have trouble finding food. It was also a field big enough for other hungry animals. Kissing Oliver on the cheek like a mother, the mother rabbit happily returned to her cubs. Oliver continued his search in the forest after the lady rabbit. While walking in the forest, he heard the birds' voices from the branches above. After a storm that had suddenly broken out a few nights ago, some bird families' young ones had been blown away by the wind, some had fallen into lower branches, and some had been blown away by the wind. Olive first decided to help the mother bird and her chicks whose nest had fallen from a tall tree. Oliver used the magic of the acorn to create a new, sturdy nest in the safest part of the tree for this beautiful bird family and made sure that the chicks were safe and sound. Then he made sure that all the birds' nests were sturdy and that the chicks were placed on branches that would keep them warm and not fall. In return for this kindness, all the birds thanked Oliver by singing the most beautiful songs of the forest with their beautiful voices. Oliver continued on his way with peace, his heart warm. Although he had started to walk away, he still heard the beautiful melodies of the birds and continued on his way smiling. As Oliver continued his journey to help the animals in the forest, the sun had already set and night had already fallen. As he continued on his journey, Oliver met a wise owl named Hoot, standing on the topmost branch of a tall tree under the moonlight. Hoot had deep, knowledgeable eyes and a wealth of knowledge about the forest. The owl warned Oliver about the importance of using the acorn's power wisely and not letting his magic go to waste. When he heard how Oliver had used this power so far, Hoot the owl was filled with joy. Despite being so young, Oliver was trying to continue his journey from where he left off instead of using this power that was given to him selfishly. The owl asked Hoot if he wanted help, but he was aware that the owl was not in trouble or in need of help when he asked the question. In fact, while he wanted to help the owl, Hoot helped Oliver even more with his deep wisdom and knowledge of the forest. The fact that he was happy with what Oliver had done made Oliver sure that he was using his power correctly. Saying goodbye to Hoot, Oliver decided to continue his journey where he left off. I wonder which forest animal needed Oliver's help now. Let's continue our tale and see together. As Oliver continued on his journey, he smiled as he remembered the forest animals he had helped and the wise owl Hoot who gave him wise advice. Continuing on his journey, Oliver found a group of turtles stranded on the banks of a dry river. Using the magic of the acorn, he created a flowing stream that led the turtles safely back to their pond. The turtles thanked Oliver for his kindness and quick thinking. They all enjoyed the water on this sunny day, laughing joyfully and playing with Oliver. Oliver left them with the joy of being able to help the turtles during this dry season and continued on his adventure. He would help all the forest animals. Every laughter he saw only strengthened his determination. Oliver continued his journey to help deep in the forest. It was a beautiful summer day in the forest. As Oliver continued to help the animals, it seemed as if the weather in the forest was also getting better. As he continued on his way, he came across a young deer named Daisy, who had lost her way. This cute and spotted deer looked sad and didn't know what to do. When Oliver saw her from afar, he realized she needed help and came to her immediately. Daisy, who was engrossed in playing around, didn't hear her family calling her and was left behind. She was saddened by the fear of being alone in the huge forest and was about to cry when Oliver came to her. He was even happy that he was no longer alone. Oliver used the magical acorn to create a glowing path that led Daisy back to her family. Daisy and her family were grateful for Oliver's help. Her family was also worried and looked for Daisy everywhere. The family reunion sent Oliver off on his journey into the forest again with happiness. Leaving the happy deer family behind, Oliver continued on his way singing songs happily. Suddenly, he saw a grizzly bear lying on the ground ahead. Oliver went to him and met the bear. This big bear named Bruno accidentally knocked over a beehive and was being chased by angry bees. He just wanted to eat some honey, but he made the bees angry. The bees also complained to Oliver about Bruno. They said he knocked our house down from the tree and broke it. Oliver first used the acorn to create a new, better home for the bees and to calm them down. Then he used it to create lots of honey to feed Bruno. Bruno was relieved and thanked Oliver for his clever solution. Well, his own stomach was full and the bee's home that he accidentally broke was brand new. Bruno, who was more upset, because the bees were homeless than because of the food, was also very happy. Oliver was very happy with his happiness. He thought about the bees' home more than his own hunger. Saying goodbye to Bruno and the bees, Oliver set off on his way back into the forest. Continuing his journey, Oliver came across a cunning fox named Felix who was planning to steal from other animals. The plans in Felix's mind made Oliver very sad. All the animals had been having problems due to the drought lately, and Felix could put them in even more difficult situations. Oliver used the acorn to show Felix the joy and pleasure of sharing and living together. He showed the animals who gathered fruits and vegetables together and then ate them together with joyful laughter. Oliver showed how the animals who overcome every difficulty they face together overcome the difficulties together, and how these difficulties become easier together. When Felix saw all this, he realized his mistake and decided to help the forest animals instead of stealing from other animals. In this way, he could make new friends. Oliver decided to continue on his way with a smile. Another day was ending as Oliver continued on his way. Suddenly, the weather started to get cold and the sky started to be covered with dark clouds. As a storm was approaching the forest, all the animals were worried about their homes. Oliver used the magical acorn to create shelters and safe havens for all the animals and ensured that everyone stayed safe and dry during the storm. Oliver fought with all his might to protect all the animals' homes. Even though a tornado had passed through the forest, none of the animals or their homes were harmed. When the storm had passed, they all gathered around Oliver and thanked him, saying that he had come just in time. Oliver, who had helped many forest animals at the same time, was very surprised by the power of the acorn. He was both happy and surprised to be so strong. After saying goodbye to all the animals one by one, Oliver decided to set off again. The forest was waiting for him. He felt like he had used most of the power from the acorn. While advancing in the forest, Oliver had done nothing for himself, but he had become very tired by helping all the forest animals, and the acorn had run out of strength. Oliver decided to always carry this acorn with him. He was grateful to him for the strength he had given the forest animals in these difficult times. In the meantime, the forest animals decided to have a big celebration to honor Oliver's courage and kindness. Under the shadow of the twinkling fairy lights, the forest friends celebrated the magical acorn and the heroic little squirrel Oliver by dancing and singing. Oliver was very happy with this celebration. From that day on, the forest animals lived together in friendship,